to order the June 25th Committee of the Whole meeting. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Sorry, you said 25th. I just like
21st.
Okay, sorry. Gustafson. Present. King.
Present.
Malaco.
Here.
Petty. Here. Block.
Here.
Dunn.
Here.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the June 7th, 2022 Committee of the Whole meeting?
So moved.
Second. Motion by trustee Petty, second by trustee Block. Any discussion? Clerk, would you call the roll?
Petty. Yes. Gustafson. Yes. Block.
Yes.
King.
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes.
Malaco.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion approved 6-0. Thank you. Moving right into new business. Item 5.1 is just discussion and recommendation to the board of amendments to the village bereavement leave policy. And I'm going to ask our human resource director, if she is on, to briefly address this item for the committee. Skip.
I am on.
Did I? There is no. Back to it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So the reason I brought this to the board is we've had a couple situations in the past few months where we've had some extended family of our employees pass. And the department heads had sort of asked if there was any sort of any way we could get around the policy in certain situations. So I'm just bringing it to the board to see if you guys would be willing to allow at least one day of bereavement for aunts, uncles, cousins, and nieces and nephews, with an additional 2 days at the supervisor's discretion. I am certainly open to any sort of suggestions or recommendations, even from like Troy or Sam, as far as a way that we can do this so that we avoid people taking any sort of advantage of it. So
I would say that if there's a good reason, right, if that someone passed away and they needed more than a day, family situation like that, they come to the supervisor and it's an excusable type situation, I think that there's nothing wrong with that, but not more than that. If it's, a mother, father, or a spouse or something like that, I think they should be given 5 days of bereavement.
right now our policy for immediate family is 3 days, 5 days, I think, if you have to travel over 500 miles or something like that.
If had anyone ever pass away, 3 days is not enough if it's immediate family. I would say 5 days in that example right there, because you need that time. That's just my opinion.
But the proposal before us is not to change what was originally in that, correct? But rather to expand on the relation and granting leave to expanded relationships, correct? Beyond immediate family.
Yes, for
So-
tonight, yes, and know that by the end of the year, there will be another change coming, as there has been an extension to the Illinois Bereavement Act, but that does not go into effect until January 1st. So know that I will be coming back to you in a few months with yet another updated policy. But yes, for tonight, it is for those family members listed in the policy. So aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, and nephews.
So as we all know, definitions of family units have changed over the years. So is it the proposal, as I read it here, leaving it up to the department head to decide the intimacy or the depth, for lack of a better term, of the relationship beyond the extended family for which this employee would need leave? Is that the essence of this?
This
Yes.
would allow, by right, 1 day of bereavement for anyone falling into the categories, regardless of, I guess, assessment of intimacy or connection. And I think what it does, because 3 is already established as a number for immediate family members, This allows one for that sort of next ring out, as Ann mentioned, the familiar relationships. But it does allow individual assessment of need, of circumstance that could increase that to 3. And perhaps that does bring into play what you exactly just now referenced.
And there would be some guiding principles here so that we have some uniformity across departments as to department heads granting these additional days.
I don't know about guiding principles.
Yeah, I think this discussion is, we've had the issues, we have
Discussion of the department.
forming too many rules for this portion. We've had it where it excludes certain people. I think this is more leave up to the department heads, to know their employees, sort of know their relationships and be able to grant.
Well, I
There's
guess
somebody for the permission to grant this.
well, what I was getting to is there going to be a common agreement as to level of intimacy and the relationship or closeness of that type of thing. So that we don't set ourselves up for saying, John Doe got this time for his great uncle and Susie Q did not because he had different department heads. How do you reconcile that you treat everybody in the same manner?
That's the difficulty that we're looking at. And sort of this point, I think, because we are a small village and small staffs, I think that that's why it's been sort of left up discretionary, or this, just to this extent, this very last level is more discretionary with the supervisors. Yeah, I mean, understandable, but I think that's sort of the issue we're having with how close are you when you say you make a hard pass. It's sort of hard to do.
Well,
It's not quantifiable in
Yeah.
writing, in policy. It's either there's a comfort level
Yeah.
with the judgment exercised by the department head, or put it all to 3 days.
And if then an employee felt he wasn't treated in the same manner, what recourse? I mean, I don't have a problem with expanding this. I don't have a problem with the additional time. I just want.
Let's just move it to 3 days then, we'll be done with it.
I think a lot of people might just need to ask for a day to simply attend services somewhere, and that's going to be the extent of it. We have had situations where a niece or nephew has been very dear and connected and perhaps even lived with or been under the direct care at times of someone. Those would be considered differently. I suspect largely if asked for, if a employee communicates a need to a department head, say, I need these extra days, that probably will, I would think that would be acknowledged, but also just to cover those that need to run to a funeral and that might be out of town, but less than 500 miles away and need a day to do so. This would address those clearly.
Yeah, I think part of the conversation definitely is like, comes up to you and says, Uncle Joe passed away, right? Okay, you need, but the policy says 1 day, do you need more than that? Because you can take up to 3, you know, and then, you know, have the conversation from there, right? You gotta travel, you have to, whatever, you know. So, I mean, I get it.
But also, I hadn't seen Uncle Joe in 50 years.
No, I get it, I get it, I get it. But I mean, so the clean way to do it is just move it to 3 days.
Well,
Yeah, I would say to just put it up to 3 days instead of trying to figure out,
Try to, I'll
you
think it.
know, try to figure out people's relationships and stuff.
well, as what's highlighted here is that it looks to me, I'm interpreting this as it's automatic 1, and then we have the discretion of 2 of the supervisor. So you would end up with your 3, but it's
Right.
the supervisor who has the discretion for trying to decide if the request merits the intent and the spirit of what we want to do here.
Yeah, I can't.
Correct.
I agree. I understand what you're saying, but I can't really see any of our people getting, you know, sideways with this. I really don't.
So we give
I don't think we
the
should put
supervisor.
in that position. I'm good
Yeah.
with just 3 too.
Yeah.
Be done with 3 across the board.
I think we need to review the policy.
Well, we're gonna end January
anyway
anyway,
too.
when that comes out, trust me.
Yeah, later on, but we definitely need to look at that. 3 days.
So
is not
3, I
enough
would
for
say
us.
3 too.
And the January one, and just so you guys know, I mean, in case you want to bring this up later on, but January 1 is going to be just for unpaid leave.
Right.
So if there's a discussion we want to do for paid leave, that's something also to bring up or to have us look at.
Can we do that right now?
You like to?
I think for immediate family, we need to move it up to 5 days and then for extended family, 3 days.
That simplifies it. Pretty much.
And eliminating then what is in that old statement of 500 miles, eliminate that.
Take that out.
We'll just go 5-3, done,
Yeah.
and then whatever new thing comes up.
Who knows what.
For unpaid time off, or we'll see what that- what she said.
Do we add language in that says that leave is granted as requested up to these amount of days? There might, I know there's circumstances where someone's just gonna need a day or two, and let's make it so they can ask for just a day or two if that's what they want.
Oh, heck yeah.
Not
don't
blanketly say,
No.
see you in 5 days.
Absolutely.
No, that's, yeah.
So let's say as requested up to.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
So,
But
wait
it's
a
their
minute,
discretion to choose.
okay, so I'm confused here. Looking at this yellow thing, state again for me what you're proposing here, Justin.
So she was saying we only give immediate family 3 days right now. So bump the 3 days up to 5 days for immediate family. 3 days is not enough for if somebody loses their child or father or mother or spouse. And then the part that we're originally talking about, instead of having the supervisor, it'd be at their discretion if they get more time, just up to 3 days, and it's on the employee. You know, if they, hey, I need all 3 days because I gotta travel down to Springfield, I'm gonna be there, you know, Monday through Wednesday.
This is for the, as to use Scott's term, the second tier, third tier relatives.
Mhm,
or
right.
relatives.
So that'd be, you know,
Correct.
aunts, uncles, stuff like that. you know,
Nieces, nephews.
Extended family, stuff like that. And then immediate family would be the 5 days, up to 5 days. But like Scott said, we should leave it to up to, because then, you know, we don't just say, take the week off.
Mhm.
Because that's what you have to do. It's, if you only need 2 days, that's what you need. If you need all 5 days, fine.
And I don't think there's gonna be a rampant people taking time off for family member dying all of a sudden, so.
No.
I can't see this
no,
being an
we-
issue or a problem, and
Do we require any death certificate or anything like that?
No, but just by matter of courtesy, we generally look for obituaries and send a card or something. So
Mhm.
I know at recent employers, they've actually asked for a death certificate or something.
We require the obituary in our policy,
Or an
but
obituary, yeah.
that's in our policy currently.
Can we, not to lay this over as into delay, but to have a cleaned up version of what this would actually look
I think-
like before we vote on it?
I think we're capable of, the changes have been clear, bumping 3 to 5 and 1 to 3. We can make those changes.
And then just
Transfer
put it
from
up.
committee to board.
Yeah, I'm okay seeing it at the board meeting, changes.
Oh, there was one other thing. Does this policy, our past policy, has this put somebody in a bind over the last year where someone has been kind of caught?
Yes, that's initially why this came up. Yes, we've had issues where they don't meet one of those initial first tier, whatever, people, where the supervisor has known and HR too has known that they are very close to that family member and they've had to take vacation time or I think vacation time really, or personal time, to go to funerals and they have not been granted that,
Okay.
granted the bereavement time, even though the supervisor is very clear this person is very close, almost like a family member, like a immediate family member.
Okay, so can we go back and make other persons whole?
Yeah.
Now that we're going to have this new policy, who may have not been able to have these benefits? This,
How far back would you go?
just the last 5 months, since the first of the year. I wouldn't go back
I think
20
that's
years.
fine there, yeah.
That's-
Deputy Chief Howard just pointed out too, that we'll certainly have to look at the implications of this contractually, certainly with the FOP contract or anything else that might be governed under this.
And FOPs, yeah, I mean, those will be,
Yeah.
they're still governed by their agreement.
And not wanting to violate anybody's policy, one person or more than one person affected by this retroactively.
And Jim, I think
One
for sure.
person that I know of, unless there's someone in the PD that I don't know about, but there was one person in Public Works.
What do we need, a motion to purchase out of the board or what?
Yes, please. And I would appreciate if so whoever frames the motion acknowledges the changes proposed here of
Justin, have that.
up to 5 days for immediate family as identified in existing policy and up to 3 days for expanded family as identified in the highlighted portion.
And take the 500-mile thing out.
So moved.
Second,
And backdated to January 1st of 2022.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Flock,
Yes.
King. Anthony King,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Malco,
yes,
Dunn,
Yes.
Petty. Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 6-0. That'll be at the board.
I have one thing under new business, Scott.
You know, also before that, I'm gonna go back. I think I skipped public comment. So may I
Oh,
please
please,
take this
go right ahead.
opportunity?
Please do that.
Dean, if you have any comment,
No comment.
you are public tonight.
I know.
Okay. Mark, you have something else under new business, you said?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yes.
So last week, I was coming up 251 and I seen a vehicle with a trailer parked out in front of Culver's. So I called up here and let the police know I wanted them to go down there, right? So I went down there as well, and they were not parked all the way off the road. They were just parked halfway, just past our signs that say no passing. So to clean that entire scenario up, I think we need to put no parking signs periodically all the way down through there. So that way there can be an enforcement if someone does park there, that they can come out and give them a ticket. Because I see that's going to be the next thing that happens is they just go past those two signs that say no passing right here. And then they're just going to go down and park right there. So I seen it right off the bat. So I think we need to kind of clean that up. Because if people start parking there, first of all, they're going to break the edge of our road off. And number two, we could definitely have an accident. Because, you know, as time goes on. And I know that they're going to reconstruct and all the other stuff. So I'm literally, you know, people that are not used to being around here or used to being around here just are used to a creature of habit and just doing it, right? And this was a landscaping company that obviously they've done it before, right? So I think that's what we need to do to clean it up. So.
And no parking is generally established by board action, correct, Joe?
Correct. That goes, there's actually a ordinance that we have in our code book that will list out all the no parking streets.
So Mark, from where to where?
I gotta be honest with you, I think the entire street from McDonald Road all the way to Swanson needs to have signs all the way down through it.
Both sides.
Well, you run into the problem that I saw with ABC Supply and all of their
Well,
things
leaving.
lined up.
Yeah, they're leaving, so.
they'll be gone. in the
They're
fall.
leaving.
Yeah, they're going to Love's Park.
Chestnut Park.
Or which yeah, I think, right,
When,
he's right.
where?
In the fall, they're moving to a new facility.
New facility that they're building out there north of the hospital.
Well, actually, they're modifying a facility out there. Yeah.
Where's this?
You know where Quantum Design is?
Oh, yes.
Back in that over in there.
Oh,
If you're sitting at 173, you just came off of 90 and you're facing north. There's a building just back over here. It's got a blue stripe on it. They'll be taking the back half once they're done remodeling it.
So we lose how much
2
sales?
point something million they're spending on it.
We will lose how much in sales tax revenue?
They're closing the Rockford one as well. They're both moving out there.
It's called Park 90 Business Park.
Yeah, they publicized that. I'd like to say it was last fall. We said it.
I've heard about it for the last 2 years, but
No, I mean, where they found the place. But
Joe, what do we need to do?
Or that, I guess you.
Nothing for ABC. We need to decide if
Yeah, for
we're.
the-
Yeah.
The question I would say, if you are gonna make frontage road non-parking, and I certainly recommend that. It is the feel more of an arterial street rather than a
Absolutely.
residential street.
We're not, no
I think
parking.
parking on the street's dangerous anyway. And I think it begs the question, if we do the south frontage road from McDonald to Swanson, do we look at doing the north frontage road
Yes.
from Elevator?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yep.
No more ones.
Well, what I
Not
meant
both
was, we're not going to selectively ticket people who are parking on the shoulder. I mean, if you have ABC supply trucks lined up on the shoulder,
Mhm.
they are equal opportunity recipients of tickets, as well as people lined up to go into culverts. That's
Well,
my only point.
The answer is yes, it'd have to be.
it'd have to be because there's other freight ones back there, Carol. I don't know if you've ever seen this or not,
Yes.
that have actually parked right out there. I even seen a guy one time drop his trailer on that street and I called chief, right? Dropped it right on the trailer and then went back and got a different tractor and came up and hooked on it, right in our street. That's
I've seen school
unacceptable,
buses.
you know? So
Okay.
it's just not a good practice on them frontage roads at all, in my opinion.
I agree.
Public safety.
What was the second?
I would say
On the north frontage road.
north frontage road, sort of from Elevator to McCurry, and
Yeah.
perhaps McCurry to the extent that it's ours, McCurry to the cul-de-sac at State Line Foundry.
Yep.
I'll take a closer look at those.
Mhm.
None of those feel like they should have on-street parking.
Form that up for the motion.
It's not even, we're just, Mark wrote it for discussion. Let us put something together for the next committee meeting.
Exactly.
Thank you, Mark.
Both sides, no parking. Okay.
Your thoughts?
Also, we're taking the enforcement action on.
Thank you. We'll have that on the next agenda. Moving into old business. 6.1, discussion and recommendation to the board for approval of amendments to subsection 96 of the Village of Roscoe Code of Ordinances related to the placement, removal, and storage of refuse containers as part of residential waste collection services. It's been in your packet again as requested. I did my best to highlight. In effect, it's entirely new ordinance, but a lot of it is restating the rules that are already there. So we highlighted anything that was new, anything that would be a new rule in place. Remove from the last committee meeting, removed some of the language relative to scrappers and collectors. I don't know if that's an avenue we wanted to pursue, and I modified the storage of containers. The draft you had previously indicated that the toters or any recycling bins or anything could not be stored within view of the public right of way. And I currently have changed that to be they could not be stored within the front yard setback. So they can't be stored in the first 30 or 33 feet of the property. They couldn't be stored in front of the house or in front of the garage. But a lot of people tuck them around the sides of their house. And I don't know if we're going too far, making every one of them a code violator as well.
We go out this year for garbage contracts, right?
Mhm.
Personally, I would suggest we table this until we talk to the new garbage company, make sure there's nothing else we need to do with it. If we're gonna make changes, then we should make changes once we talk to a new company.
I respectfully disagree. I mean, the new company will get your proposal as to what they're going to collect and what they're not going to collect. I think our ordinance was just aimed at trying to get people to employ best practices and not annoy their other neighbors about where they put the containers and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, you can eliminate the conversations about bundling and size of bundles and all that kind of stuff. That would be dictated by the vendor. But in our case, this originally started with at least having something on the books to get people to use the tote that is provided. And then secondly, not have those totes out for more than 24 hours before collection and 24 hours after, and to put them in a place where they don't annoy other people.
The people they seem to be ignoring is YouTube.
Oh, you're making an assumption. I'm
I
not.
haven't heard from anybody, garbage company, the PD, the public health department. I haven't heard from any citizens that this has been an issue except from YouTube.
Well, we get calls and get observations, and I'm sorry you don't get as many calls. And we'll get into our subdivisions and to see what we see. However, it is problematic with what people do. And it's also problematic for the collectors.
Then why
And
they come to us?
they drive by and don't pick up the stuff if it's in bags, because these people have to get out of their trucks and do that. It's extra work for them.
But I've seen them do that.
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Okay.
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Depends on the driver and the day and how hot it is and how much junk is out there.
To be honest up front, I have no desire to change this at this time. So if you want to push it forward, that's fine. I'm voting no then. Otherwise, I would be happy to hear it tabled until we get a new contract.
Well,
Yeah, I'm not gonna support this either. You're just trying to open a can of worms that is just gonna spiral out of control with every resident in the village.
well, what? You're going to anger residents by telling them they have to put their stuff in containers and that they should not have it out for 3 days before collection and 3 days after, that they should just be a little cognizant of their neighbors? Are you saying that you
My neighbor
don't
keeps
want?
his trash can right in front of his garage. Doesn't bother me one bit. Doesn't bother one of my neighbors down the street. I don't. I mean, just because you don't like looking at trash cans doesn't mean
Oh, I didn't say I didn't like looking at them. Some
you
people
actually
do.
did at other meetings. And then we have another trustee saying that her neighbor across the street is bothering her because they're not putting the trash in the can. That's the only two people we've heard
You
from.
either want a certain level of aesthetics in a community or you don't.
Just so you know, right now, the language on the website that we steer people to indicates that garbage should not be put out to the curb until after 6 p.m. the night before pickup. Must be placed by the curb no later than 6 a.m. the day of pickup and should be brought back within 24 hours of collection. That's the language that's currently in place. I do think the revised language bumps 6 p.m. the day before down to 3 p.m.
And our code actually is new right now, so.
Yes, it is. So we have, that's one. There are some things that should be codified that currently are just more statements
Yes.
of guidelines that are not ordinances. So we probably couldn't write a notice of violation right now for putting it out too early, but I can certainly steer people to.
Well, right now, our code says no earlier than 12 p.m. the day before. So that's where our current ordinance is, so we can reg them for that.
Okay.
It says 24, I think it's what, 24 hours after pickup, so you have to have your containers, your refuse, and recycling containers put away. And then we have the, where you place them is within 5 feet of the curb, essentially, for the residents being served.
The reality of this situation is we don't ask the police department to go around and do gotcha. Yours is too early or yours is too late. It only becomes those egregious situations where you have people who pile tons of stuff almost in the roadway. And I can show you pictures. And it's there for 3 or 4 days before collection. And you have animals get into it. It's a problem for servicing the road or anybody else because our roads are narrow, as you very well know.
Well, it sounds like we're already covered for that, though.
We have gone after people for putting stuff out.
Right, and that's what we do.
So we don't need
That's what we
this.
do.
Then call and say they
But
put their
you
trash
need
out.
something written to say, okay, you have violated the ordinance that says you can only have it out 24 hours before and collect it after. You have to have something by which you can legitimately issue them a ticket.
Well, that's
We just said we
currently.
do.
What is this?
Yeah.
It's already there. They're telling you it's there.
Right,
What,
Okay, then why do we?
it's creating this, I had 2 constituents call me, and this is back in October that I started on this with this resident across the street. And by the way, the resident now has a new tote. It's bigger, army green color, and they're using it.
Good.
And talking to them work. We don't need to write an
Yes,
ordinance.
since October.
Sounds like everything's fine then. Good to move on.
Joe, forgive me, where's the language about 12 p.m. the day before? Not in 96.
No, it's 93.38 is our general garbage stuff. 93 is our garbage.
93 and 96 should probably be combined.
That I agree.
Yes.
I would like to see garbage put in a container.
And that's
If
that's
possible.
the main thing that's
Yeah.
not addressed currently. So that's something you just wanted to say.
That really is the substantive difference being proposed, is saying that you could not put bagged garbage out. And I suppose to a certain extent, storing the
Yeah, it's
toters on
everything.
the side of the
Yeah.
house, but
Yeah.
which is probably less severe of a change than initially proposed of saying totally screened from view. That's probably a little more onerous on the residents.
Don't we have something now that like apartments and stuff are supposed to be three-sided?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why are we enforcing that? When I start enforcing things, we should be.
I know we
enforcing
have
those.
been.
We have, then we need to
Yeah.
ramp it up again.
Yeah, if there's, I guess I'm going in
For
places
sure.
particularly, but yeah, we were enforcing it actively when we got those reports, so.
Sounds like we need code enforcement.
Yeah, desperately.
We don't need to change policy.
Well, it's back to the essential question. Do you not agree there is a need for some language to require people to put their kitchen garbage in a tote as opposed to a plastic bag that rodents can get in?
Garbage company has that.
However,
Once it's filled, then you put it to the side. I'm not gonna make people go buy 7 more totes. Because they have 3 more bags of garbage you don't like.
well, let's look at the definition of garbage here. In this thing, there's bulk versus garbage. What is defined as garbage?
I hear you, you're not gonna change my mind on it.
No. I
Yeah, if
just
you wanna
want-
push it forward,
I
go
just
ahead.
wish to explain to you what was written in here. Garbage is referred to as those things that you would generate in your kitchen. So I don't think anybody generates out of their kitchen a full tote. But if I've cleaned out my garage, I have extra things that don't fit in the tote. That is bulk and that can go next to the can. That is permissible. The goal here is to get people who generate refuse from inside their kitchen to put it in a tote so animals don't get to it. That's the distinction here.
I know what trash is.
It's sarcasm.
I don't have sarcasm, but I know what garbage is, and you're explaining what garbage is.
Well, the ordinance makes a
Maybe
distinction.
your sarcasm.
No,
No.
the ordinance makes a distinction between garbage.
Yes, but
and bulk.
it doesn't specify, it says that refuse must be placed in the bin, and refuse is more of, if you read the definitions, more of a catch-all. It does include garbage in.
You know, this is a community where we want to look nice. And we want to look uniform. Am I correct? You know, we want to have our.
I completely agree
yards,
with you, but I
you know,
don't see a problem that you are seeing. So, and you just said that your problem has been resolved.
I said it had been resolved, but I have been working on this since October, the first week in October
Okay,
last year.
when did you have a conversation with this resident?
I never did.
Okay, then why didn't you walk across the street and talk to your neighbor and ask why?
Two constituents called me. I called the police department, not knowing that we didn't have a code enforcer. I was never told that because of HIPAA and all that stuff. So it was evidently was never addressed. And
It was addressed by the garbage, it
Huh?
was addressed by the garbage company. You reach out to me as well.
Later on, and you said to me, why didn't you come to me, Sue? And when I did, you said you'd take care of it, and it wasn't taken care
It was, you just pointed out they're using a toter, and that was put into
of.
place by the.
Months later. What, 4 months later? From when you made the initial inquiry?
Doesn't that sound right?
Yeah, it sounds right to me. I remember sitting in your office talking to you.
What do you
All
guys
right.
want to do? You guys want to push it forward? Because we're not going to.
You mean the brotherhood?
I don't
Yes,
know
the
whether-
sisterhood may push it forward if they wish. Do you like that? I mean,
Sure. I would make the motion that we amend our current ordinance regarding,
We're not stupid. I just
I
heard you
didn't
call us
say you were
stupid.
stupid. I said the remark was stupid.
Well, the implication.
that the,
I'm making a motion to send it to the board. That's all you can do here.
I make a motion that we send to the board a modification of our ordinance regarding garbage that refuse generated in the normal definition of kitchen stuff, biodegradables, I guess, or organic matter, be placed in totes as opposed to plastic bags.
I second it.
Wow.
Is that remark stupid?
No, but I don't appreciate being, some brotherhood and your little smart remarks and stuff like that. I'm not a part of any brotherhood or gang or anything like that. So what you're saying is just ridiculous. It's unprofessional.
Yeah, in your opinion, it's an observation.
Any other discussion?
We have a motion in a second, correct? Clerk, will you call the roll?
Done.
Could we redefine exactly what we're voting on here?
Essentially, just a motion is to amend our current ordinance to require garbage, essentially kitchen waste type garbage, to be stored in toters when they're put out for pickup.
Yes, I vote yes to move it on.
Keen,
No.
Malaco,
No,
Gustafson,
Yes,
Clock,
No,
Petty. Yes.
3-3. And only because it's brought up. I emailed Advanced from Waste Management as soon as we talked about it and copied you on it, and that was 5-4, not 4 months ago.
It was before that, wasn't it? Well, then my apologies. I know it was first week in October when I started working on this.
before we move off this topic, I did see something in the Rockton News where Rockton had informed their citizens of a price increase. And their price increase was what, $4 a month? $5
3, wasn't it? It was 3.
$3
It
to
was
$4.
pretty substantial, but I think it was 3. The article I read anyways.
Around $4 increase a month, but I don't know what the level of service is for them. But it seemed to be, in light of what gas prices are and wage prices, be less than what one would anticipate.
I'm sure a new contract is going to have to be some kind of increase.
Sure.
Just so you know, I've been compiling, I don't want to share numbers publicly yet, just don't want to do that. The initial proposal for a subsequent agreement, successor agreement, was, in my opinion, excessively high. It was significantly more than $3 or $4 a month
Yes.
increase. So I've been collecting data from all of our surrounding communities as to their contracts, and even we have the benefit of a couple who have gone through a bid process very recently. As I pointed out last time, a variable for us is that everyone else, all the other communities, handle the billing themselves and attached to one of their utilities. That's something that we have put on the vendor, that they both have to do the billing, collect the money, and suffer the bad debt. What I've asked Waste Management to do, and what we will request when we put the RFP out, is to separate their numbers. We understand you're providing us an increase. It's probably an untenable increase, but show us what portion of that is attributable to the financial billing and collections, so that we can more accurately compare what they're proposing for actual trash collection fees to what other communities are paying. We'll have all that together, hopefully by the next meeting, and I'll discuss with Joe whether there's an opportunity to do that in the executive session, or we just bite the bullet and we start to have the frank conversation openly. And Joe's already worked on putting the documents together to go out for bids. But we are never going to be a true, just comparing our bill to other municipalities' bills is never apples to apples because we put the collection on the vendor, the financial collection. That was 3-3. Item 6.2 is an update regarding the Taste on Main event. And you want to talk about this at all? I mean, we are a week away. There's, we printed posters that we put up around town. We've done social media. There is radio advertising going on the Bull. We just got 2 4x8 signs that I'm going to meet the property manager over and still try to erect those this evening on either sides of it. Financially, it's come in amazing. I guess, Ann, I'm stealing it from you. Sorry. I think I talked to you guys about having a financial commitment from the village not to exceed $2,000. We have not, right, as it stands right now, we're not exceeding $100. Almost all the expenses have been covered by donations from within the resident businesses of Main Street Square. And you want to?
No, that was all I had.
Sorry.
No, that's it. I mean, if you guys have any questions, if you've seen the posters or all of Janelle's posts, we're going to have Spider Hero and Spider Gwen. I don't know what we're
You
calling.
just got us.
This got you in trouble.
Yep.
Spider Heroes, from 2 to 4.
Better girl. Yeah.
So if you're coming to see them, get there early. We think there's going to be face painting and temporary tattoos at Skin Deep. There'll be a DJ there, a live remote from 2 to 4. Stacy at 3 R's has 6-7 activities for young children. So there's gonna be lots to do. If Jean's still there, Jean, do you have any questions? I tried to answer most of them, but.
No, I think I've got, I already published it. So
Thank you, Jane.
accurate.
Other than that, we hope everyone stops by and checks it out. So we did a really good job staying in budget. I know that there was, I think the week that I was gone when my mother-in-law had passed, you guys had sort of straw polled and said we could spend 2,000 and we're far, far below that. So yeah, I think it came together really well, and I'm excited to see how it turns out.
And thank you, Ann, for all your work.
Yes,
Yes,
good
well
job.
done.
Thank you.
Any questions regarding the event? Hope to see as many of you there as you can make it. It'll be fun. The heat will break and the rain holds off. It'll be fantastic. And then update 6.3 is an update regarding the proposed public mural installation at 10532 Main Street. I uploaded a number of documents. There have been questions about the nature of the agreement. You'll see there are different agreements. There's a fairly loose and broad agreement between the municipality. Because again, these are always with a municipality. They're private public partnerships, but the RACVB makes the agreement with the municipality. But they have a more detailed agreement with the artist itself. I put a copy of that in there. To be honest, I have received that while I was gone and I've not read that one in great detail yet. I did read Mr. Agron's proposal back to us. If you saw, if I can share a screen, he has submitted a few concepts, which he acknowledges are concepts, but are in the followed direction that we had provided as to what we thought might look cool. Let me show this. Again, he had wanted to explore the concept of doing a more of a painting, where he's done a lot of, he's of the Midwest. He likes to paint Midwest landscapes. He likes to paint this sort of aerial view of the sort of patchwork development patterns and water forms of Midwest landscape. These are a couple concepts that he prepared at 2 different levels of detail, that one being a little looser or a little broader, and What he's expressed through his description, as you can read in his proposal back to us, is to do this with a looser hand and have this be more look like a painting than graphics. A lot of the murals take on more of a graphic design, crisp, sharp lines look, and he'd like to pursue this more painterly aesthetic. Here's another. Here's a more detailed one, where it would be further back. Obviously, a lot more work, a lot more detail work. Oh, did it? Because I have to share this separately. Sorry. Hold on. I thought if I just bounced around on my screen, it would. This one. You know, that's obviously a lot greater level of detail. Now, his pricing right now, his estimates were from 20,000 on on the first one you saw to perhaps 30,000 for this, thinking it'll take perhaps twice as much time. That's not an all-in cost, though. There are costs that the RACVB covers, the per diem, travel expenses, housing, priming, lift rentals, things like that. And that looks like it could range another $8,000 to $10,000. So I think we are looking at a $28,000 to $30,000 installation, up to a $38,000 to $40,000. I think we need to skew to the lower end of that. And just from some straw polling around the building, I think people gravitated more towards the first one I showed you. That was maybe less intricate in detail. I can tell you, just to remind you, the board had appropriated $20,000, but I've had some initial success and anticipate more. Anyone I've talked to privately about participating in this loves the idea. So I have $10,000 committed privately so far, and I expect that to grow. That's just an update of where it stands now.
Who is committed? I mean, private business?
Yeah, I don't want to, I don't want to share that in the meeting yet, only because these have been commitments to me face-to-face in meetings, but we haven't done any kind of formal thing in writing yet. So I'll share the one most definite and most emphatic about it was Forest City Gear. And then there's been a couple other that are private individuals wanting to do it in acknowledgement of family members, perhaps, as a trust or something. Also, several of the banks have expressed interest in wanting to do that, but they all have a bit more of an administrative process to commit to it. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Didn't it say in that contract, we would pay a 15% commission fee or something?
15% program management to the RACVB.
And then in addition to that 15%, we've still got another 10?
No, I've included that 15 within that.
Okay.
So I'm assuming you're gonna bring us more information as time goes on, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So this is everything I have up to the minute right now.
I have a couple of questions. Do we need the written permission of the building owners to affix something on their property?
I will probably ask for it in writing, but they have, I guess to a certain extent, I have it in email form with an email saying they took a vote and there was no dissent. So in email, they have voted to approve it. I met with them to go over it.
But I would feel comfortable if there was some formal.
I think they'll probably have an agreement from our council commission having an agreement about that.
And then secondly, all of these, and it's great that everyone wants to participate in this. Do they have veto power over the design? Do they
No.
want to be involved in picking the image?
I've made it clear that this is, now, what I've done is shown them all of this. They're not doing this blindly. I've walked them through the progression of the artist selection, the artist's past work, our communication to the artist about here's the work you have done that we think perhaps is appropriate. And then this most current proposal that you have that shows these four concepts. Everyone has seen the direction it's going. But I have made it clear to everyone involved that we don't necessarily have creative control over this. I think the gentleman with the Masonic Lodge said it best. He said, this is art for art's sake. You don't expect it to be uniformly supported, that art should spark some conversation and there'll be opinions on both sides. So I think the position as everyone is taken is that if they found something particularly objectionable, if they we assured everyone that it would not be political in nature. And yeah, even more so initially, in initial talks, I said this would probably be geared to something botanical or landscape oriented in nature. And now with some actual graphics to look at. It's been roundly supported.
Then how do you see those individuals who want to make donations from various trusts or dedications or whatever? How would they be memorialized?
There is standard creative signage. I can send you copies of them. There is a standard sign that will be affixed to a lower corner of the building that has the creative, of course, it has the creative branding logo at the top, Village of Roscoe logo, and then either logo or names of anyone involved. It is also then memorialized on their website. And I would think we would put up a permanent attraction on our website that shows the evolution of the process and acknowledgement of the building owners and everyone that donated.
Do we sign a contract with the Masonic Temple or?
I think it'll probably, imagine it'll be, I don't know for sure, but I think it'll probably be the art council or the,
RSCV.
or the, yeah. But there will be a.
No, I will ask you, but it's kind of not, Joe. I've asked RSCVB how they get permission to do it, but then they don't. They, at that point, it's a piece of public art that's been put on a building and they don't really necessarily put restrictions on the building owner. If the building owner got a wild hair and wanted to paint over it in 3 years, they could
That's-
probably do it.
Okay.
This artist had a illustration where he wrapped his design around a whole building. Because I'm looking at this, I know it costs more money. What about going around the front?
I know.
I mean, can't you just see that panorama across?
That would be, yeah. This will become one of the, if not the largest total square footage mural done in the program.
You ask him to quote a price of it going across the front.
I would want to revisit that with the good members of the lodge before I told them the front of their building was getting painted. Yeah, they do have,
You know, the one I'm talking about, had that illustration.
Yeah.
of that. It looks so cool.
it's a,
Practical building.
and I'll keep even between now and the next meeting, Tom, the artist is on vacation right now. We're gonna try to keep in touch via email. Right now, it feels like it has positive momentum.
What do you think about doing a time lapse camera while he's doing it?
Absolutely, that'd be great.
Maybe
Yeah.
talk to the fire department, see if we could put
Yeah.
something over there.
Yep.
I think that'd be really cool.
That would be.
We could have our drone.
And parking.
Be a little
happens-
hard for the time lapse.
Parking happens along that front.
But there's plenty, we've already talked to Harlem Roscoe, there's plenty of depth to just push the parking back. And park basically in line with how the Harlem Roscoe spots park right now, giving them ample workspace. I also had an electrician come out to take a look at that line. For all the world, it looked like it was a power line coming in. I mean, even the electrician couldn't figure it out. And we got into the basement, and it turns out it's not, that is only a data line coming in. And it looks like it's going to an outlet or a junction box and a light, but really it's another line being fished up through a conduit through the basement. So there's perhaps not even a concern about it and can be worked around, or we'll talk to Charter Spectrum and see if they can temporarily lay that line down while he's working just another way, but it is not a power line.
And is eliminating parking there so it doesn't obscure the mural?
No, that's not an option. However, I would, long-term, I'd like to explore creating a pedestrian, as part of the Main Street redevelopment. I'd like to explore providing a pedestrian connection along the front of the building to perhaps another surface lot along Bridge Street. And that would necessitate, that parking will probably still be there. That is where their staff parks. But if we could pull that farther back and we could keep that permanently in the same alignment as the parking in the Harlem Roscoe parking lot. Was that? Who was that?
I don't know, I was just looking to see who.
Oh, okay. So, no,
So what do you need from us?
nothing. This is just an update. Just being involved with the process as we go.
Is this something that we could, I don't know, just for the sake of showing it to the public without any numbers or locations or anything else, actual rough pictures of what we're considering and put it at the food truck festival? As people walk by, they, I like number 1, or I like number 5, or I like number 8, or whatever. Just a thought.
Yeah, I'll think, if you don't mind, let me ruminate on that. I'm not sure.
Okay.
We don't have enough time.
No, yeah, we don't, yeah, I just don't want to, and there might be just, this has a pretty solid straight line direction that is traveling right now to a conclusion. I don't know if I want to put many curves on that.
No, I wouldn't. No, not at this point.
I like the idea of showing a sneak peek perhaps, but if I do that, I think it's fair to discuss that with RAC being the artist first, if they're comfortable revealing sort of the interim work product, so. I don't know if I'll pull that together by Saturday.
Might be able to do something like that fall festival.
It'll be painted by Fall Festival. Yeah, this will be painted, well, depending on which one we pick. He initially thought it would be a 10-day paint process. If we went more complex, it could stretch beyond that, but he works, by all accounts, I've talked to people now who have documented his work, is that he paints fast. He moves very fast. It's fun to watch him paint.
He's the only one.
Yes, he is. He does it by himself. And
Pretty impressive.
yeah, he's been a fun guy to talk to, and I've had a chance to talk to him several times now. He's genuine. He's a very genuine and passionate person. Young too. But the goal is still to tackle this early August.
Just curious, does it start from the top, go down, or I don't know.
I don't know. That's probably top in case you drip, right? You don't want to drip over, right?
Your living room? I don't know. No, I'll watch.
Jane, public comment?
No, I have some
Thank you, sir.
questions about it, but I always
Yeah.
talk to you.
And then I don't know if we have a need for an executive session tonight, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Some,
Oh, just one last thing, the code enforcement person definition, whatever, in 2 weeks.
Yeah, yes. And I might be bringing forth both a description and a candidate at the same time.
It's fine.
And proposition about compensation,
Yes, ma'am.
the total package.
Second,
Okay.
quick call the roll. I trust you, Patty and Jessica.
Malco,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
John.
Yep.
Eddie,
yes.
Gustafson.
Yes.